Pad and hit continue. Alright, welcome. I know, I'm sorry. Welcome back. You already ended the video, dude. What are you doing? Well, I realize I'm hanging out here watching Prancer doing these retro rewind weekends, which I love to do. Just a great chance for me to kick back, play some old school games, watch some old school videos. Oh no. Got Prancer on right now, one of my favorite holiday movies. Definitely one of the rentals. I would rent this from time to time. I don't think we had this growing up on on video. But I do remember renting Prancer, watching it in school. So we're hanging out here watching some old movies, playing some old games. But more importantly, I wanted to actually talk about Sega CD, the actual console itself. I've been chatting about it a little bit, kind of rambling a little bit with, you know, how it was definitely one of my favorite systems and one of my favorite gifts, and it continued to, you know, thrill and entertain throughout the year, and not just those weeks after Christmas and all of that. But oh shoot. I haven't really, you know, talked about the actual system itself. You know, it definitely was a system that I think bonded, you know, my friends and myself, my sister and myself. Games like Columns and the Marky Mark CNC Music Factory, like music video mixer. Shoot, I don't know where I'm supposed to go here, you guys. I might actually have to bite it on this one and start over. I don't think I can make it through. Oh, wait. Oh my gosh. There we go. Okay, perfect. I mean, you know, my sister and I bonded, I think, more over the Sega CD than any other system. Even me and my dad bonded over it quite a bit. Just, you know, through not only the graphics and the sound quality, or really more for the sound quality, but then some of the gameplay, the titles, and even my mom, even though she didn't quite appreciate the Lethal Enforcer's gameplay and the giant gun, I think she could appreciate the sort of like nod to Dirty Harry, especially the cover art of that video game. Even though she probably didn't agree with that giant hand cannon that it came with, which is crazy that they gave it away. I mean, like, this thing looked like a revolver. At least the Nintendo gun looked kind of like a toy gun, and even though these things were like pink and blue, I mean, they just looked like giant Magnum 45s for your kid to play with and shoot at the screen. It was pretty crazy. But through all of this and all these cool memories and all these cool stories, I haven't really talked about the Sega CD itself and the console itself, and the fact that it's not even, I don't even know if you could really consider it a console so much as a add-on, which is something that doesn't really even exist nowadays. So I wanted to take another few minutes to kind of jump in, and I guess I kind of look at what that means and what that all looks like, because the Sega, I guess, threw their towel in with the Sega Dreamcast. And before that they had the Sega Saturn, which I would consider these to be, you know, actual consoles, independent standalone consoles. The Sega CD was something a little different. You had the Sega Genesis, and then they decided to come out with this kind of like an add-on, if you will, Sega CD that you could connect to your existing Sega Genesis and still play your library of Sega games, and also, in a way, use the console to play Sega CD titles, which was really bizarre. I think later on they did come out with kind of like a standalone. It had it was like the Sega CD X, and it had the port for the Genesis games in the back, and then of course it had like a little CD tray loader for the Sega CD games. But I think it had some weird like functionality and manufacturing glitches to all of it. I don't think it was very well received, and I think at that point it was also like the Sega Saturn was getting ready to come out. Totally rushed, by the way, not a very good system. And it wasn't until I feel like the Sega C or the Sega Dreamcast where they actually put out like a decent standalone system. But the Sega CD wasn't even, like I said, like a standalone. You would need the Sega Genesis in order to operate it, which was, oh, I knew that was going to happen. Very interesting. And I think why a lot of people didn't have it, you know, like I was one of the few people on my street that actually had a Sega Genesis. A lot of people still had Nintendos for quite some time. And I feel like the Sega was more like a college console. A lot of, you know, kids in middle school didn't have one. And so the fact that I had a Sega Genesis kind of put me in line to get one, but like I said, you would need the Sega in order to even think about purchasing one. And like I said, having become a huge gamer once the Sega Genesis came out, and keeping up with all the stuff and knowing it was going to come out, I was like, I have to have one of these. And the way it operated was really bizarre. It actually connected to your, like I said, to your Sega, and it didn't like share power. It had a bunch of different connectors. So even though it was a lot of fun to play, it was kind of a monstrosity to own, and I mean, it was worth all of the, trying to think, the disorganization, but it wasn't like having just like one or two cords in the back of your television like nowadays. You would have to have like a cord, you know, to connect your Sega to your TV. But then the Sega also needed like its own power source, as well as the Sega CD. They didn't share a power source, and they weren't like small little plugs. They were these like giant almost like baseball size plugs that you couldn't just fit into your outlet. And you know, most outlets you've only got the 2 ports. So you would have to get like a huge power strip. I remember like you couldn't even plug those in side by side. You would have to like, you know, like literally you would get like a power strip, and I feel like you could put in your TV. Oh no. Your Sega Genesis, and that was like really all you could plug in. And like I said, I had a stereo set up to it. I had my VCR set up, so I mean, God, it was a mess of wires. It looked like something like you were some kind of a communication center, and all you're doing is just trying to play, you know, Eco the Dolphin. You're trying to play some Sonic the Hedgehog, and it looks like you're trying to, you know, communicate with NORAD. But it was a lot. I mean, it was, you know, it had a power strip like you would have for your Christmas decorations and stuff. Then you would have to connect the Sega to the Genesis, and I had the old school Genesis. So it was kind of like it slid into the side. Later, I think they had one that like double stacked. So like it saved a little bit more room. This thing, like, it was like, I don't know, it's like the size of like a skateboard sitting on your entertainment center, because it was, you know, two things side by side, because they, you know, like I said, they slid into each other. And so it was very interesting. Just even how the whole piece of it and the whole setup was even, like, you know, was even put together. Like I said, nowadays, you know, typically you just buy a whole new system, and you know, we've been lucky over the years to have some of it be backwards compatible, where maybe you buy a PlayStation and you get a pretty decent library, and then all of a sudden, you know, PlayStation 2 comes out, but luckily you can still play all your PlayStation games on the PlayStation 2. So there was a little bit of that as well with the Sega, because at least you could still play your Sega Genesis games. And then play your new Sega titles as well. But like I said, nowadays usually they just come up with a whole new system. It's just kind of interesting take where it's almost kind of like a point in the number system of video games, you know, where like you have your PlayStation 1 and 2, 3. This was sort of like a, you know, a bridge between the Sega and the Sega Saturn. So if you have like a Sega Saturn, which is the one console, and this, or the two console, excuse me, you have like the Sega Genesis, which is the one console, and then the Sega Saturn, which is the two console. The Sega CD acted as kind of like a 1.5, I guess. If that makes any sense? So like instead of getting like a PlayStation 6, they said, no, we're going to give you like a little add-on to your PlayStation 5. This is going to allow for more graphic resolution and sound quality, and that's, you know, like okay, that's gonna be awesome. I kind of want to say that the 64 did something similar to what I'm saying, where they did the expansion pack for their 64. which basically allows you to enhance your graphics, gameplay, and frame rate, which sounds pretty remarkable. But I do remember playing games like Rogue Squadron without it, and getting one and playing one and being like, wow, this is almost like CD graphic quality coming out of a cartridge. It was also like one of the last times that I feel like, you know, we had that, not even backwards compatibility, but just being able to upgrade your system and still be able to play new games at the same time. Because a lot of times nowadays, like, Nintendo's infamous for the lack of backwards compatibility, where they went from one size cartridge to another size cartridge to a small CD. Back to a small CD, now back to even smaller cartridges. It was weird. It was like as you got into like I said, later iterations of video game systems, backwards compatibility would almost become like a thing of the past. Oh, I hate this so much. Oh my gosh. The race with... Come on, Sonic, you got this. Come on, buddy. Come on, go, 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 go. There we go. Oh no. Oh man. That was the ticket right there, is that getting on top. That's what she said. Can I hit that? Oh wait. That's what he said. Trying to get those special items. Forget it. Let's just go ahead and get into this. Man, this is so intense right here. Oh, go, dude. Go, go, go. Oh my gosh. My hand, I'm like literally shaking. I think this is like, this is, I would always get so much anxiety with this level. Like Metal Sonic was my nemesis growing up. Like just even hearing the music, all of it's just like, it's, oh my gosh, it's freaking me out. Okay, having like flashbacks. January, December 92, 93, 94, or something like that, all those. Oh, no, no, no. Oh my gosh. I'm not gonna be able to do it. I was like gonna try to talk about Sega CD some more. And the actual, like I said, the console of it. And now I'm caught in this. There we go. Did I do it? Oh no, oh shoot. I legit thought that was Metal Sonic on the other side. Let's go. Oh no. I'm just like caught up in the game. I wish they would release more Sega CD titles in the PlayStation Store. Like, they've done a good job so far with some great Sega like classic collections. Gonna hit every boss in here, it feels like. Oh my gosh. I'm hitting every traffic light at work. But like Sherlock Holmes, I would love to have. I don't know if I'm just hitting everything or if it's just like... There's just stuff everywhere, it's too dead. Jurassic Park game for Sega CD would be amazing. I wonder, I know they just released the Mortal Kombat collection. I wonder if the Mortal Kombat CD collection is available on there as well. Because that was great too. And again, like one of those things, like, you know, I spent hours and hours playing Mortal Kombat with my friends on the Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis. And it got released on the Sega CD, and it was just like, oh man. Playing it for like the first time all over again. So that would be a fun, oh shoot. That would be a fun one to go back and revisit. Nope. Nope. Okay, so the counter's gonna be wrapping up here in just a second. I hope you've enjoyed listening to me talk about this system. I hope some of what I've said kind of makes sense as far as like what this thing even looks like, what it was. Oh my gosh, no, I remember this. You gotta like shrink and grow. Oh, this is so weird. This was such a... Oh, I think that was the thing. The little Sonic in this looked like... Oh man. I'm having some flashbacks definitely now. You become little Sonic in this, and then you can go through certain areas, and then you become Big Sonic. But I feel like the little Sonic is what the little Sonic looked like as the icon on the Sega CD ROM thing. Alright guys, well, here he is. Little teeny Sonic, isn't he cute? Oh my gosh, yep, that's exactly what he looked like. That's so cute. Oh wow. Alright guys, well thanks for hanging out with me. Remember to share, like, subscribe, all that jazz. Remember, big things come in little packages. And until next time, take care of yourself. Take care of each other. And don't spend that quarter anywhere else.